44 weirdest last words of famous people in history. A writer joked about wallpaper seconds before dying. A general mocked enemy shooters and was instantly shot in the head. A king asked for cheese while being executed. These aren't peaceful goodbyes. These are the 44 weirdest last words ever spoken. Number 27 will blow your mind. Let's go. 1. Oscar Wilde. Either that wallpaper goes, or I do. Oscar Wilde, dying broke in a Paris hotel, couldn't resist one final joke. The wallpaper was so ugly, he chose death over looking at it anymore. The man literally turned dying into a punchline about interior design. Even death couldn't stop his wit. 2. Pancho Villa. Don't let it end like this. Tell them I said something. The revolutionary was shot and realized he hadn't said anything memorable. His actual last words were asking people to make up better last words. He was more worried about his legacy than dying. Peak vanity or peak honesty? You decide. 3. John Sedgwick. They couldn't hit an elephant at this distance. The Union general mocked Confederate snipers. Seconds later, a bullet hit him in the head. He literally tempted fate, and fate immediately accepted. The timing is so perfect it sounds fake, but it's completely real. Never mock the people shooting at you. 4. Thomas Edison. It's very beautiful over there. The inventor of the light bulb came out of a coma, looked toward the window, and said this. Nobody knows what he saw. Was it the afterlife, hallucination, or just New Jersey? The man who brought light to the world died talking about beauty somewhere beyond. Chills. 5. Marie Antoinette. Pardon me, sir. I did not do it on purpose. She stepped on her executioner's foot walking to the guillotine. Even facing decapitation, royal manners kicked in. She apologized to the man about to cut off her head. That's either incredible grace or deeply ingrained etiquette that even death can't override. 6. Steve Jobs. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Apple's founder said this 3 times while looking at something his family couldn't see. What did the man who revolutionized technology see at the end? It impressed him more than anything he created. Nobody knows, and that mystery makes it haunting. 7. James French. How about this for a headline? French fries. About to be executed in the electric chair. He made a pun about his name and electrocution. Reporters actually used it as a headline. He faced death with the darkest comedy possible. Respect or insanity? Maybe both. 8. Karl Marx. Go on, get out. Last words are for fools who haven't said enough. His housekeeper asked for final words. He snapped at her. After writing volumes about society, he was done talking. The man who shaped revolutions told everyone to shut up and let him die in peace. Very Marx. 9. Bob Marley. Money can't buy life. The reggae legend told his son this as cancer killed him at 36. After global fame and fortune, his final message was that none of it could save him. A lifetime of preaching love over materialism, confirmed in his final breath. Profound and heartbreaking. 10. Voltaire. A priest asked him to renounce Satan. He replied, Now, my good man, this is no time to be making enemies. Even dying, he wouldn't pick fights with potential supernatural entities. He spent his life challenging religion, but wasn't about to antagonize the devil right before possibly meeting him. Brilliant. 11. Humphrey Bogart. I should never have switched from scotch to martinis. Hollywood's tough guy blamed his death on changing drinks. Obviously cancer killed him, but the joke is so perfectly Bogart. He maintained his cool image until the final second. No tears, just a one-liner that sounds like it's from a film noir. Number 11 down. Wait until you hear what the next person said. Like this video right now, or you'll miss the craziest ones coming up. 12. Archimedes. Do not disturb my circles. A Roman soldier came to kill him during battle. Archimedes was solving math problems in sand and told the soldier not to mess up his equations. The soldier killed him anyway. He literally valued geometry more than his life. That's dedication to math at a ridiculous level. 13. Alexander Graham Bell. His wife asked him not to leave. He said no, then died. The inventor of the telephone ended his life with the most abrupt non-communication possible. He spent his life enabling communication, and his final communication was hanging up on his wife. Dark irony. 14. Beethoven. I shall hear in heaven. The deaf composer hoped death would restore his hearing. He created the world's greatest music without hearing it. His last thought was finally being able to hear again. It's heartbreaking. Or he said pity too late, when wine arrived. Either version fits his tragedy perfectly. 15. Winston Churchill. I'm bored with it all. The man who saved Britain in World War II, gave epic speeches, and lived 90 extraordinary years ended with this. After everything he'd done, life became tedious. Even legendary figures get exhausted. No dramatic speech, just an old man who'd had enough. 16. Groucho Marx. This is no way to live. Was he joking or serious? Knowing Groucho, probably both. He turned no way to die into an absurdist statement. The comedian kept his ambiguous humor until his final breath. Perfectly on brand for someone whose career was saying outrageous things with a straight face. 17. Ned Kelly. Such is life. The Australian outlaw said this before hanging at 25. After crime, shootouts, and becoming a folk hero, he simply accepted his fate. 3 words that became iconic in Australia. No rebellion, no apology, just philosophical acceptance. He lived hard, died young. Summed it up perfectly. 18. James Dean. That guy's got to stop. He'll see us. He said this seconds before his fatal car crash at 24. Just a normal observation about traffic that became his last words. Death doesn't wait for profound moments. It happens during mundane comments. He died at peak fame, and his last words were about another driver. 19. Dylan Thomas. I've had 18 straight whiskeys. I think that's the record. The poet who wrote, "Do not go gentle into that good night," collapsed after bragging about drinking. He wrote about fighting death, then died from alcohol poisoning while proud of a drinking record. The irony is thick and tragic. 20. Elizabeth I. All my possessions for a moment of time. The Queen of England, who ruled for 45 years, would trade everything for one more moment. All the power, wealth, achievements meant nothing. She'd give it all for more time. Death is the ultimate equalizer. Even queens can't buy what matters most at the end. 21. Frank Sinatra. I'm losing. The man who sang My Way admitted defeat. After a life of supreme confidence and control, his final words acknowledged death was winning. No bravado, just honest vulnerability. Old Blue Eyes couldn't do death his way. Even Sinatra had to surrender to something bigger. 22. Socrates. Crito, we owe a rooster to Asclepius. Please, don't forget to pay the debt. Drinking poison as execution. The philosopher worried about paying debts. Asclepius was the healing god. Some say Socrates meant death cured him of life's illness. Others say he was just being responsible. Either way, the founder of Western philosophy died worrying about what he owed. Profound or practical? Both. Halfway through, drop a comment with the weirdest one so far. The second half gets even stranger. You won't believe number 27. 23. John Wayne. Of course I know who you are. You're my girl. I love you. The tough cowboy actor's real last words were soft and loving to his daughter. Behind all the on-screen swagger, he was a father who wanted his daughter to know she mattered. The Duke died with pure tenderness, not toughness. 24. Julius Caesar. Et tu, Brute? Whether Caesar actually said, "and you, Brutus," is debated, but Shakespeare made it immortal. Stabbed 23 times. Recognizing his friend among murderers captures ultimate betrayal. Real or not, it's shaped how we think about betrayal for 400 years. Sometimes legend beats truth. 25. Mata Hari. The exotic dancer and accused spy faced a French firing squad, refused a blindfold, blew a kiss to soldiers, and said nothing. Her silence was her statement. She'd lived creating mystery and died the same way. She turned her execution into a performance, controlling her narrative until the final second. 26. Goethe. More light. Was the German writer asking for curtains to be opened? Or was it metaphorical, requesting enlightenment? For someone who spent his life pursuing knowledge, both interpretations work. Physical or spiritual light, it captured his lifelong quest. The ambiguity served his legacy perfectly. 27. Aleister Crowley. I am perplexed. The occultist who called himself the Great Beast and claimed mystical knowledge died confused. After presenting himself as someone with supernatural understanding, his final assessment was perplexity. The man who claimed answers ended with a question mark. Maybe his most honest moment ever. 28. Robespierre. The architect of the French Revolution's reign of terror couldn't speak because his jaw was shattered. When the executioner ripped off his bandage before guillotining him, he screamed in agony. The man who sent thousands to the guillotine died the same way, with a wordless scream. Grim poetic justice. 29. Joan of Arc. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Burned at the stake at 19. She called out for Jesus repeatedly until death. She claimed God told her to lead armies. Her last words were prayer, maintaining faith through unimaginable pain. Whether her visions were real or not, her belief was genuine until the flames took her. 30. P.D. Barnum. How were the receipts today at Madison Square Garden? The showman behind the greatest show on earth was dying but still focused on ticket sales. His last concern was revenue. The ultimate showman stayed focused on his audience until his final moment. Dedication or sad? You decide. 31. George Orwell. At 50, everyone has the face they deserve. He wrote this in his notebook before dying from tuberculosis at 46. After writing about truth and corruption, his final thought was that life physically marks us. Your choices eventually show on your face. Haunting wisdom from the author of 1984. 32. Richard Feynman. I'd hate to die twice. It's so boring. The physicist briefly died, came back, and complained it was boring. Only Feynman could experience death, and returned saying it lacked entertainment. The Nobel Prize winner faced the ultimate mystery with a shrug. His scientific review, Death is dull. 33. Leonardo da Vinci. I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have. History's greatest genius died thinking he failed. Despite defining genius for centuries, he felt he didn't achieve enough. Even the greatest struggle with self-doubt. His failures are priceless masterpieces. Perfectionists are never satisfied. 34. Lord Byron. Now I shall go to sleep. Good night. The scandalous romantic poet who lived with excess, passion, and drama basically said, I'm tired, going to bed, and died. After such an intense life, his ending was unexpectedly peaceful. The protagonist of his own epic poem went quietly to sleep. 35. And Bullen. The executioner is very good, and I have a little neck. Henry VIII's wife joked about her upcoming beheading. Facing the sword, she made a dark joke about how her small neck would make the job easier. She refused to give her enemies satisfaction of seeing her break. Gallows humor at its most literal. 36. Douglas Fairbanks. Never felt better. The silent film star said this, then immediately died of a heart attack. 1 second claiming perfect health, the next second gone. The ultimate ironic timing. Death doesn't announce itself. Sometimes you feel fine, say so, and then you're instantly gone. No warning whatsoever. 37. Emily Dickinson. I must go in, the fog is rising. The reclusive poet's last words sound like a line from her own poetry. Was she talking about actual fog, or using it as a death metaphor? Knowing her symbolic style, probably both. She lived speaking in metaphors and died the same way, mysterious to the end. 38. Charlie Chaplin. A priest said, May the Lord have mercy on your soul. Chaplin replied, Why not? It belongs to him. The silent film legend couldn't resist adding a witty, logical comeback even at 88. He'd made millions laugh without words, and his final spoken words were brief and clever. Perfect Chaplin. 39. Josephine Baker. Oh, you young people act like old men. You have no fun. At 68, after a triumphant comeback performance, she criticized young people for not enjoying life enough. After everything she survived, poverty, racism, being a star, spy, activist, her final message was about living fully and having fun. She never stopped performing or living passionately. 40. Madame de Pompadour. Wait a second. The mistress of King Louis XV told death to hold on because she wasn't ready. She'd been one of France's most powerful women and tried to make death wait. It didn't, of course. But trying to dictate timing even at the end is a power move from someone used to control. 41. Lenny Bruce. The groundbreaking comedian died of an overdose, found dead on his bathroom floor. He had no last words because he died alone. For someone who fought censorship and insisted on speaking freely his whole career, dying voiceless is its own tragic statement. The silence he fought against won. 42. Nostradamus. Tomorrow at sunrise, I shall no longer be here. The prophet predicted his own death. The next morning, they found him dead. Whether he actually predicted it or got incredibly lucky is debatable. But staying on brand as a prophet until the end? Very Nostradamus. He couldn't just say goodbye normally. 43. Gandhi. Hey Ram. Oh God. Mahatma Gandhi was shot 3 times by an assassin in 1948. As he fell, he invoked God's name. After a lifetime of nonviolence and spiritual teaching, his final words were a prayer. Even being murdered, he responded with spirituality, not anger. His principles held until his last breath. 44. Kurt Cobain. Cobain's suicide note ended with, "It's better to burn out than to fade away." Quoting Neil Young, he died at 27, choosing to end his life at the peak rather than decline. Whether you see it as tragic or a statement about artistic integrity, those borrowed words became his final message. He lived fast, died young, and quoted someone else doing it. From Wilde joking about wallpaper to Cobain quoting Neil Young. But here's what really gets me about all these last words. They reveal something profound about human nature that nobody talks about. Most of us spend our entire lives crafting an image. We control what people see, what they think about us. We're careful with our words, strategic with our actions. But in those final moments, all that drops away. The mask comes off, and what we get is pure, unfiltered humanity. Oscar Wilde couldn't stop being witty even when dying broke and alone. That wasn't an act, that was him. Karl Marx was genuinely annoyed at people asking for profound statements because he'd already said everything he needed to say. That grumpy old man was the real Marx, not just a revolutionary philosopher. And think about this. Some of the most powerful people in history, people who commanded armies, ruled empires, shaped the world, their last words were often the most ordinary things. Churchill was bored. Elizabeth wanted more time. Sinatra admitted he was losing. These giants of history, reduced to the same human fears and needs as everyone else. Then you've got the comedians who literally couldn't turn it off. James French made a pun about being electrocuted seconds before dying in an electric chair. Groucho Marx left everyone wondering if he was joking or serious. They lived for the laugh, and they died for it too. That's commitment to your craft on a whole other level. But the ones that haunt me, the ones that saw something, Edison talking about beauty over there. Steve Jobs saying, "Oh wow," 3 times while looking at something nobody else could see. What did they see? Was it real? Hallucination? Does it matter? Because in that moment, something impressed them more than anything in their entire lives. And the tragic ironies. General Sedgwick literally got shot in the head seconds after saying enemy snipers couldn't hit him. Douglas Fairbanks said he never felt better and immediately died. James Dean commented on another driver seconds before the fatal crash. Death has the darkest sense of humor, and the timing is always perfect. You know what else strikes me? How many of these people maintained who they were until the absolute end? Joan of Arc called for Jesus while burning because her faith was real. Socrates worried about paying debts because responsibility mattered to him. P.D. Barnum asked about ticket sales because the show was everything. Leonardo da Vinci felt he failed because perfectionism defined him. These weren't acts. These were their truths, revealed when there was no more time to pretend. And here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to think about. What will your last words be? Will they be profound? Funny? Random? Will you even have time to say anything meaningful? Or will it just be something completely mundane, like commenting on the weather or asking for water? And that becomes your eternal final statement? The scary part is, you don't get a practice run. You don't get to workshop it. There's no second take. Whatever comes out in that moment, whether it's genius or gibberish, whether you're scared or at peace, whether it's a joke or a prayer. That's what gets carved into history. Some of these people knew they were dying and chose their words carefully. Others had no idea those would be their last words. That's the terrifying lottery of it all. Your last words might be something brilliant, or they might be past the salt. And either way, that's your legacy's final note. But maybe that's the point. Maybe last words aren't supposed to be perfect. Maybe they're just supposed to be true. A final glimpse of who someone really was when all the pretense was stripped away. Oscar Wilde made a joke. Marie Antoinette apologized. Bob Marley shared wisdom. Beethoven expressed hope. Churchill admitted exhaustion. They were all just being themselves. No filter, no performance. Just raw human truth in the face of the ultimate unknown. So, when you think about your own last words, maybe the question isn't, what profound thing should I say? Maybe it's, who am I really, underneath everything? Because that's what's going to come out anyway. These 44 people gave us their truth. Some of it was funny, some tragic, some bizarre, some profound. But all of it was real. And that's what makes last words so powerful. They're the one thing you can't fake. We've covered 44 of history's weirdest final words. Comedians died with jokes, philosophers with questions, warriors with acceptance. Some faced death with grace, others with terrible timing. Here's my question. What would your last words be? Drop it in the comments. And if you made it through all 44 without skipping, you've earned that subscribe button. Hit it now. These people are gone, but their final words live forever. Make yours count. See you in the next one.